And welcome to Thursday Night Throwdown, the roundtable unscripted live radio / TV show where we cover the topics that people are talking about, people want to talk about. It was in the way? Oh, come on. I was told that my bourbon bottle was blocking the camera view. Don't worry, I haven't started abusing alcohol yet, but I will here forthwith. So we'll go live to the Crusader Stadium StreamYard room, and we'll get our throwdown started. Oh, there's Mitter Monday. He finally has made it into the chat room. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 6 chat, as I said. 6 throwdowners tonight. The topic is war movies. And yes, we will get to war movies and everything you ever wanted to know about war movies, but we're afraid to ask. Hopefully everyone brought their top 3 or top 5 list that you will compete to get into the top 10 power rankings of all time, which have already been done, and I think we pretty much done it on Memorial Day every year, so I don't expect that the list is going to change very much. I might have a clip or two that we can add and a couple of songs. I think the first question that we ought to ask is there any war that you can exclude from war movies so that it won't be a war movie? So the first test is, okay, is War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise or whatever iteration, is War of the Worlds, I mean, it has war in the title, but is it a war movie?
Absolutely
Sci-fi.
not. Nope. Sci-fi.
I got 5 ants. Okay, so 5 ants on the Mitter Monday, that patio, wherever it is that you're at, disconnects you like every 13 seconds on cue. And it just disconnected him again, so I'll keep checking in with Monday. All right, here's the big one. Is BattleShip a war movie?
No. Negative.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
No.
Now, wait a minute. Now,
No
they
way.
even have a ship from World War II that saves the day.
It's awesome, but it has aliens. No.
Yeah, I know it has
I know.
aliens.
Alien. Sci-fi.
That's why I used that the other day to say that Back to the Future 3 was not a Western because it's sci-fi.
But if it's sci-fi and it still has real war elements in it. So the first throwdown is, because I think BattleShip is actually a really good war movie because it's got naval strategy and everything in it, and they got to figure out how to make the old guns work and everything. Okay, so BattleShip is not
Mike,
a war
you
movie.
Mike, you sunk my battleship.
No, my battleship just got sunk. Y'all sunk my battleship. Okay, so are movies made about wars in old Europe war movies?
I would say yes.
Yes.
I would
Okay.
have to say yes, I think, on that one.
Okay, so then I have 2 then for my top 10. I have Henry V and Braveheart. And I'm talking about the Henry V version with Kenneth Branagh, which is the Battle of Agincourt. It's a pretty gory and graphic scenario that they showed. You know, Fiorella told me a story once. I never verified this. Do you know where we get? and I don't have my. I'm completely and totally useless with this. I'm not prepared. It's been too long of a day. I had too many things going on, and I left 2 technical things out. I'm not going to be able to chat now because I have to go full screen. So I can't see the chat room. Well, if there were certain people, that would be like cause for a nervous breakdown. Fiorella told me once upon a time that do you know what famous gesture came out of the Battle of Agincourt? Would you like me to show you? Supposedly, at the end of the battle, the English went and cut all the middle fingers off of the French archers so they couldn't shoot them on the way out. And so the French bore the grudge that they had their middle fingers cut off. So whenever they would see an Englishman, to flaunt it in their face, they would go. So that's supposedly. So there's your war movie trivia there for the day. And I never looked it up. I just took it that Fiorella would know if she wouldn't tell the story if she didn't believe it to be true. So now you know.
I remember reading about that when I was in high school.
Really?
So I tried to use that excuse that you should be able to use as a way of communicating.
Well, because the English made it possible, and the French carried on the tradition, as French do, right? So I think you should have gotten an A for effort for that one. You probably got expelled, though.
Yeah, I think I got 3 days for that one.
Let me go cut out of this full screen scene because I can't see Monday if he's trying to get in. If I'm in full screen, and it doesn't look like he is. Okay, so let's go. All right, we'll start at the top of the screen. So I have my list. I'm not going to give you the whole list. I gave you Henry V, and I gave you Braveheart. You know that the story of Braveheart is really not about William Wallace. You know, if you saw the follow-up that they made like 5 years ago with Angus McFadden in it, called Robert the Bruce. Anybody see Robert the Bruce?
I did see Robert the Bruce. That was very well done. I don't know why I didn't realize that was a follow. Was that a direct connection to each other? I know.
I mean, not directly. I'm surprised Schaefer didn't chime in on that because that is a modern movie, and he said he was only going to get to modern movies. Well, Braveheart is definitely modern. Braveheart, though, you know where the term Braveheart comes from? It doesn't come from Wallace. The term Braveheart comes from Robert the Bruce. Robert the Bruce wanted to go in the second, the third, or the fourth crusade, and he was on his way, and something happened to him. I forget what it was, and he told the liege that was with him, "If I die on the way to this crusade, I want you to cut my heart out, put it in a bag, and I want you to bring it to the Pope or whoever it was that was leading the crusade." Because I want them to know that my heart was in the battle. And so he did. He died on the way to the crusade, and the liege or the valet or whatever took his heart and put it in a bag and carried it. I want to say carried it to Spain. And that's where you get the term, or that's where actually he was Braveheart. So in any event, so we'll talk about there's some great battle scenes in that in Braveheart. Also, so you got the wars. You know that there's a war that's cut out of almost all war movies. There's only like 1 or 2 instances of it. The American Revolution.
Yeah, I agree. There's only a couple movies with that.
Jeff Daniels was in The Crossing, which wasn't really, I mean, they kind of dramatized the crossing at Trenton. I think there was a movie made called Yorktown. I think there was one film that was made that had where Yorktown was in it.
Hear about The Patriot, Mike? Would anybody call that a war movie?
That's definitely, it's got war stuff in it.
Yeah, I mean, I would call it. I guess
Patriot's a war movie.
Yeah, I think for sure The Patriot's a war movie. Even though it's a fictional, it's a fictional account though.
Yes.
Now the guy did exist. The dude's name was, I think it was based loosely on who was Jeff Johnson. You're an American historian nerd. Who was the Swamp Fox? What was his real name? Marion. Oh, what was his real name? Oh gosh,
I'm drawing a blank on it. There, Mike.
I'm pretty sure that the character that Gibson kind of based the character that he played, and now I can't think of his name, and in the movie The Patriot was based on kind of loosely based on Marion. What was his last?
Francis Marion.
Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox.
Yep, I got it. I looked it up. Francis Marion.
Because he just bedeviled Cornwallis in the English. He would lead them around places where he knew they couldn't get a big army through, and they get all the way there, and they say rat farts or whatever the British would say back then, and then they come backtrack. So the Patriot is one of those rare ones that's from that era. No movies or films that I know of about the War of 1812. I don't think. They're trying to think if there's anything, any consequential war. I mean, there are probably some obscure ones. Then you got to fast forward all the way to 1861 or whatever, so you get your Civil War movies. And
Did they have anything about the making of the Star Spangled Banner? There might be a movie out there about that in the War of 1812, but that'd be about it.
Is there any movie about the Battle of New Orleans? Because that definitely would be a war movie and a real war movie.
There was, and I can't remember the name of it, but there was.
So from there, you go all the way, if you're an American, you go all the way to 1860 or whatever, and then you get to the War of Northern Aggression. And of course, we're all going to agree that the best send-up of war from the Civil War, as they call it, or the War of Northern Aggression, is Gods and Generals. Somebody's going to say, "What about Gettysburg?" Yeah, what about Gettysburg? Did anyone see Gettysburg? Did anyone make it through? Because it was like 3.5, 4. It was almost 4 hours long, wasn't it?
Well, I have both of. I own both of them. I own the director cuts of Gods and Generals, which is 4 hours long, which is fantastic. Gettysburg, I'd liked, but I've probably saw Gods and Generals 50 times. But Gettysburg, maybe 10, because I just didn't find it amusing. It was done well. I didn't get excited. I don't like the Yankees anyway, so that might have been half the problem.
The only part of Gettysburg that's great, and it's a great scene, is when that colonel from Maine leads the bayonet charge down the hill to break the advance of the Confederates. That is the best part of that whole movie, and it is a true thing because he did end up getting the Medal of Honor for that leading that charge down the hill.
If they didn't kill Stonewall, we were having a different conversation right now. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
And they didn't even kill Stonewall. Gangrene killed Stonewall.
Yeah, his own men killed him.
Sepsis.
While he's walking.
Well,
Yeah,
today, let me see if I can get Monday in here. All right, Mr. Monday, this is my 5th try. Hopefully you'll last this time. Sepsis actually got Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson. So they got shot in the arm, and then he got infected, and then they tried to get rid of the infection, and of course then they didn't have antibiotics. So they cut another part of his arm off, and finally he basically went sepsis, and that was basically all that she wrote. So that's what killed Jackson. And he was shot by friendly fire. It was one of his own dudes. I've actually been on that road. There's my brother Mac. Joe, you've been to Mac's house.
Yep, I have.
The
Is that the
house,
same road? I was going to ask you.
The house on Stafford Lane where you went, there's a road right down the road from there because the Chancellorsville battlefield is right there. There's a road. It's called Old Plank Road. And guess what made the distinction for Old Plank Road? It was made out of planks. Old Plank Road is, of course, it wasn't a highway then. That's the road that Jackson was on when there's a monument on there somewhere. There's a marker that says here is where Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson was shot by his own men in friendly fire and died a couple days later. So right down the street from where Mac used to live, Joe, and you went on that road, Old Plank Road. That's where Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson was actually shot. So from there we go to World War. There are films about Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders and Spanish American or Spanish Civil War, whatever you want to call it. And then from there you go to World War I. And there really aren't any films, there should be, about the Bolshevik War between the Bolshevik and the Mensheviks in Russia. Yes, Jeff Johnson, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I want to go back to War of 1812 because I had to look it up because it was killing me. I knew there was a movie about the War of 1812, and it had Yul Brynner in it, and he played Lafayette, and he saved the day. He brought the Americans at the ramparts the powder and the ball and saved the day for the War of 1812 in the Battle of New Orleans.
What's it called?
Oh, the Buccaneer.
Oh, okay.
I was like, it was killing me here. I was over here just dying.
Scott Resnick has not chimed in yet. You're in the throwdown, so where go we from here, Mr. Resnick?
I don't know. How about World War II? Because it's in chronological order, and that kind of appeals to my nerd senses. How about 1941? That's a war movie, albeit with a comic flair.
Okay, you're talking about Spielberg's 1941 with John Belushi?
Correct. One might think it's a Mel Brooks movie, but it is not.
I don't know. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can accept that.
I don't know. We might have to have a throwdown belt challenge on that
I'm
one.
on the edge on that one.
Marines in it. There's artillery in it.
Yeah, but there's a roller coaster that rolls down the pier. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, come
There
on.
you
come
Point of
on.
order.
Point of order.
Okay.
All
I'm
in
gonna go back
favor.
to
All in
last one.
favor of 1941. Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Nay. Nay. The nays have
I'm
it.
going home.
Hear about the band. Hear about the Band of Brothers series. Would you call that a war movie?
Well, that's
Or
not
is that
a.
more of a.
TV show. Well, TV movie. Oh,
It's.
I don't know,
I mean,
man.
War
I
something,
own
right?
it. I love that series. It was so well done. I know it's Tom Hanks, and I can't stand that pedophile, but he did do a good job on that. I mean, he funded it at least, and good men came out of it. Major Winters is one of my all-time favorite leaders of all times. The more you read about him, the more amazing he is. And he grew up right over in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which
Yeah, he's
only
not
about an
far
hour
my
from
place
me.
in PA, yeah. Yeah, he's not far
And
from my place.
He was the one guy that I've always wanted to meet. And he used to do a lot of book signings and events. And I finally signed up and was able to get to one. And then he had to postpone because he was sick. And then he died soon thereafter, unfortunately.
Well, did you know that? I do know this. Hanks was an executive producer on Saving Private Ryan. Ron Livingston, the actor, was in Saving Private Ryan, and Spielberg was an executive producer on The Band of Brothers. So, Band of Brothers came after Saving. I used to joke about it and say Saving Ryan's Privates. Saving Private Ryan was Band of Brothers came afterward, and they all and Spielberg and Hanks both said that the inspiration for Band of Brothers was Saving Private Ryan. Well, the inspiration that made it, since they were kind of in the genre there, was Saving Private Ryan. Scott, you said you're an ultimate movie or tech nerd or World War II nerd. There has to be something else other than 1941.
No, I didn't say I was a tech nerd. I just said the chronological order
Okay.
appealed to my tech nerd status.
Oh,
But,
the order
I was gonna say
appeals.
Saving Private Ryan too. That's a good movie, and I got that probably right after I got my first surround sound system. I bought that movie, and the DTS mix on that opening scene where they're storming the beach. That's pretty intense when you get the volume turned up loud. So,
Has anyone ever been to the D-Day Museum here in New Orleans?
I haven't been to New Orleans, but I've been to
I didn't
all
have
the
time.
beach.
We were
I haven't-
busy at Hogs there, King Dude.
Uh,
Remember when Jank Bond and I were there, so we didn't have time to go to the museum.
I
okay.
planned on going to the museum, but I got COVIDed out of it.
One of the best. I haven't been to the museum there. I want to go. I meant to go. One of the several times we've been down, but couldn't make it work. But I've been to all the beaches in in France. I've literally stood there, and there was a defining moment for me because my grandfather never talked about World War II. I know he's one of the only guys of his buddies that made it back. And I got to stand there as a soldier at the bottom and knowing as a soldier looking up at what they had to go through and understanding why that generation never talked about anything.
Well,
Ugly.
I will tell you, okay, anyone ever been to the Marine Museum at Quantico?
Yes, I have.
Did you go into the exhibit where you could get on the landing craft for Vietnam?
Yep.
Okay, you know when the helicopter lands, and then they show the IMAX. You basically the door opens and there's an IMAX movie screen there, and it looks like you're actually in the field, and it's like hot. It's like 110 degrees. Okay.
Good turn.
At the World War II Museum, they did. I don't know which one came first. You get on. It's a ride. Basically, you got to wait in line for this thing. You get on. You get on the line. Because Maggie and I and the kids did this when we went down there for a staycation one summer. You get on, and then you get on like a replica of one of those crafts that they built. I think the English built them. That would go up to the beach and the door would drop down, right? So they put you on one of these things. And it was so cool the way they did it. You got speakers like Scott, you were talking about the DTS surround sound. They've got like 30 speakers on either side. They got them up, they got them high, they got them low, and the thing moves like you're going with the waves. And then there's like a Disney animatron dude who's like the sergeant, and his head even turns and he goes, "Okay, man, we're getting ready to hit the beach. When we hit the beach, keep your head down and run as fast as you can to try to get past those X things." And so you got the sound going in, and as you get closer and closer, you hear the bullets hitting on the outside of the steel, right? And then when they drop it. And then you hear the gunfire. Like actually, the way they did it, it feels like it's actually coming into the landing craft because people, little kids were crying and people were like ducking down to try to avoid the bullets. And it was an amazing thing. And it just because we'd all seen Saving Private Ryan and that scene on Omaha Beach, and it's pretty accurate the way they did that. The rest of Saving Private Ryan, there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of war drama in that movie.
There is a lot of war drama in it. It was very well done.
Yeah, it was a very well done movie.
That's why I placed it number one.
I don't know that it's number one, but we'll find out when we get to the. Scott Resnick, we're going to stick with World War II because it's where cinema's coming along. It's before TV, so Americans have come home. Ike is elected president, and Hollywood starts making war movies. And they just cranked them out by the dozens, it seems, over the next 20 years until Peckinpah comes along and goes like, "You sissies ain't showing it right." We need to, and that's the topic that I have here: gore or no gore. What else do we like about World War II movies from your perspective?
I liked Hacksaw Ridge. That's World War II, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I just watched Dunkirk the other night, and that was a pretty good movie, although it was a little, I don't know, sad, depressing.
Scott, you like that? I thought, no wonder everybody hates the British. They backed themselves up against the edge and jumped in.
Yeah.
What a bunch of losers.
I thought the movie was well done, though. But
The only people that would have been worse.
they were definitely celebrating
didn't even
a supreme butt kicking. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they literally drove into the ocean. I mean, they had the little boats
it didn't
coming
get
across the ferry. To come.
bad.
Well, that's because the French didn't even fight. They just said, sacre bleu.
You ever notice in all the war movies, and this is unfortunate or fortunate because war is in the wars, they always wait for the Americans to come save their butts.
Yes,
Because
that's the part I didn't like about that movie was, the Americans hopefully will get in someday and help us out.
Yeah. That is is about as real as it gets. All the foreign governments that was there fighting with us, anytime they got in trouble, they would just lay down and wait for us to come get them. It was terrible.
Well, speaking of war movies, all right, I have a nomination for one of the, if not the best, but one of the best, most recognizable war movie theme songs. I actually have three of them. Here's the first one. So everybody knows that this is the theme to The Great Escape, right?
Awesome
100%.
movie.
Great
100%. Great movie.
So it's one of those movies that, and this is rare, that you recognize it for being a great film, and you also recognize it because it had a great score. Because you cue that track up, and everyone almost, if they're a fan of the genre of war movies, they know what you're talking about. And what
It had a great cast.
Oh yeah, it probably had one of the best casts.
cast.
Yeah. How could you? You got Steve McQueen. You got a very young Richard Dawson. I mean, Richard Dawson was in that. You got a very young Donald Pleasance. You know, he's kind of the guy that's going blind. Oh gosh, I'd have to look at
James Garner.
James. Oh yeah. Do you know that James Garner was a native of Oklahoma City? No, Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was a country boy from Oklahoma. That's right. James Garner was in it, and you just kind of love the way that they're playing cat and mouse with the Nazis. Like, you know, they're going to figure out a way to get around this. And I'll never forget. I was a little boy when it came on Tuesday night at the movies or whatever on ABC, and I remember watching it. And it's another one of those epics, 3.5 hours long. But my favorite scene, and it would come, and CBS would play it every year, kind of like The Wizard of Oz. My favorite scene was Steve McQueen trying to get that old German motorcycle, get it going fast enough to jump over that barbed wire fence.
And which he gets all caught up in. Yeah.
No, he clears it.
I thought that's the one he got caught in.
He cleared one and then got caught in the second.
Okay, yeah, because he did clear one. He jumped over one, and then I think he gets caught in the second one. And of course, you know, by the end of the movie, The Great Escape, which, you know, come to find out, that's kind of a compendium, if you will, or a combination of several different escape stories that American GIs and British GIs would tell, POWs rather, would tell of how they tried to escape, because they never stopped trying to escape. They were always plotting to try and get out. So The Great Escape, great song, great great film, a great cast, as we said. Joe Beeman, you have been chiming in. We haven't heard from the youngster in this crew. All right, Shaft of 13. So you said you were going modern. What war movie have we not discussed?
Well, since you guys talked about 1941 earlier, to toss that out, maybe I should throw Tropic Thunder out. That was one of my all-time favorite comedy movies. Certainly centered around war, it's centered around the Vietnam era. Obviously, it's updated for, it's supposed to be a movie about a movie, right? So, but I think it's a fantastic attempt at comedy and war.
Is this the one with Robert Downey Jr.?
Yes, sir. Robert Downey Jr., Jack Black.
This is the one where Robert Downey Jr. is trying
to.
He's trying to look. They're trying to make him look, or he tries to make himself look like a black dude.
That's the one.
Okay,
that's the one. He's a dude playing another dude disguised as another dude.
Okay, KingDude, we have to have an age limit in here. We have to start having only old guys in here.
Schaefer, you were
sorry.
Your homework assignment or your show prep assignment was to bring a minimum of three, to try to get into the power ranking. So Tropic Thunder is one by my count.
Oh man, I don't know if I want to put it that high. I mean, you guys talked about World War I as well. 1917, I thought, was one of the most incredible cinematic feats of all time as far as movies go. I can't believe that they shot that. I think it was two shots, the entire movie. Might have had one split. Fantastic acting, fantastic filmography. The whole thing was just incredible. It's certainly a wartime movie.
Oh,
No doubt about that.
2 years ago or 3 years ago, when we did War Movie Power Rankings on Mike Churchill, I think Barrett actually did his, and maybe we combined the two. I thought 1917 was number one.
It was a fantastic movie.
Oh,
It gets overlooked a lot.
Anyone that's a warmonger ought to be you ought to be forced to strap them to a chair, put those things on their eyes like in a Clockwork Orange, so they can't close their eyes, and make them sit there and watch all 3 hours of it. Because that's what war is really. That's what war is really like. And those guys that made that, Schaefer's right. They did that. They did that in 2 takes. You couldn't have done that. 20 years ago, you couldn't have done that, because a Technicolor reel, the longest shoot that you can get out of a standard, the old Panavision cameras that you see that make the movies, with the 2 white things on the top and there's Panavision on it. The longest that spool is at regular speed, if you're trying to shoot at regular speed, what we would call high definition, which they all shot at, is 7.5 minutes long. So you could only film 7.5 minutes, and you have to pop to another camera. Now you could have another camera kind of like one here and one here. And then when this one is getting ready to sputter out, you crank this one up, and then it would be a quick clip, a quick cut. And you would just splice it there, and people probably wouldn't even know the difference. But it was only because they had digital technology, because they were recording that thing to hard drive, that they could do an hour and 40-minute long take. That movie is also exhausting because it's so long and there's so much killing in it. And you get all caught up in the plot. I think 1917 is still in the top 5, my book.
Well, they did a really good job of showing how absolutely nasty World War II was, or One was, excuse me, with the trench war. The trench that was a nasty, dirty war. I mean, they literally would kill hundreds of people to gain 2 feet of ground.
And in that war also, it was a war where technology just started to bud. I mean, the mustard gas, the tanks, everything started to bud in that war, and it made it such a killing ground with the machine guns and everything else. It was just a brutal and terrible war.
Yeah.
Do you know that there's parts in France where stuff to this day will not grow because of all the chemicals that they pumped out?
Oh, on the Maginot Line?
Yeah, on the Maginot. Stuff won't grow there to this day.
Well, you killed everything with the most noxious of chemicals imaginable. Brother Francis used to talk about World War I. Actually, he would talk about the American Civil War, which was the first total war, what we call total war. And that man was getting really good at inventing new ways to kill other men. That's really not a great. That's not an achievement to brag about. We seem to be all caught up with it today, though. Yeah. Have you ever seen him getting taken out by? We were having a conversation, me and Jeff Johnson, with some guy claiming that Trump's action against the super high speedboat loaded down with weapons and drugs wasn't a just action. And they're talking about, they just blew that thing out from the sky. They probably took that thing out with a drone. But World War I was a culmination of super ways and super ways to kill things. Let's do a quick video clip. You guys won't be able to see it, but the audience at home will. This is just for a little comic relief. So one of my favorite World War II movies, as you all know, is Kelly's Heroes. Now this is an actual war scene where Telly Savalas and I forget the other actor's name are going to try to figure out if they can take a Sherman, if they can take a Tiger tank out with a hand grenade.
Pull it.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Let's go. All right, move on.
And of course, that's Donald Sutherland as oddball there in the actual Sherman tank.
All right, ready to turn right. Turn. Now, hold it. Fire!
And how they beat the Tigers, they got it stuck in an alley. All right, Maggie, that's and then of course, just a little musical interlude here. Here's the theme song from Kelly's Heroes. I have a trivia question for all you war and country music buffs on this.
Friends all tried to warn me, but I held my head up high. All the time they warned me, but I only passed.
All right. So you didn't need to hear very much of it. You all know the song. Do you know who actually did that song? Anybody?
I know you've said it before on your show, but
Mike
forget.
Curb Congregation. Do you know who Mike Curb wound up being?
No idea.
He produced all of Hank Williams Jr.'s records.
Get out of here.
And then he started a record company. Go look at any Hank Jr. old record. They're all Curb Records, C-U-R-B, Curb Records. That is so. Mike Curb Congregation, started his own record company, and Hank Williams Jr. was his #1 performer. So you go from Kelly's Heroes to Poor Old Kallaja. A great transitions there. Look, while we're on the subject of World War II, no one ever mentions this, and I think this is probably one of the greatest movies just ever made, and that's George C. Scott and Patton.
Patton, that's Dan Mundy's favorite.
Well, I think that you have to have Patton in your top 10. First of all, it won like 11 or 12 Oscars. Scott won best actor. Scott, the guy that directed it, won best director. It won best cinematography. I mean, I think every Oscar that thing was nominated for, it won that year. And of course, you know, we's Americans. It made a larger than life figure out of General George Patton. They could have made that. They could have made a movie and called it Nimitz. They could have made a movie and called it MacArthur. They could have made a movie. There were several. They could have made a movie and called it Pershing. Nobody ever made a movie out of General Pershing, and they should have. So there were several World War II figures that they could have made a movie, and they chose, I guess, Patton. I'm not sure exactly why, but that film, like I said, it won every award it could possibly win. It has to be in the top 10.
Yeah, Mike, here's another one that I think probably none of us ever really thought of because we don't really think about naval battles, but Midway was a great movie. And it was such a great battle because it was so pivotal. It changed the course of the war. If we didn't win Midway, we may not have won the war.
The remake that they did 5 years ago of Midway is worth watching.
Pretty decent movie.
It's very faithful to the original and the original kind of story, the way they did it. You know, just with modern filming techniques, and you know, you feel like you're actually there. At the Battle of Midway. No, I agree. You know, somebody was going to say, you can't put Pearl Harbor in there. Why is everyone so hard on Pearl Harbor? Is it just because Ben Affleck is in it? Is that the whole reason why everyone hates Pearl Harbor?
Probably.
That is part of it, but I think it's just the cheesy romance part and kind of the romance between Affleck and the other guy.
Josh Hartnett.
Aerosmith. Yeah, and Aerosmith's little girl, she was in there too, wasn't she?
Well, she just plays her usual part. She shows up.
I don't think she was. That was.
It was Kate Beckinsale was in that.
Yeah, that was it. That was the heroine.
It was Kate Beckinsale. I think Liv Tyler was in it too. Pretty sure Liv Tyler
was in it. That's who she. That was his love mate or his love partner, wasn't it?
No, that was Beckinsale. Beckinsale?
Yeah. Kate Beckinsale was Ben Affleck's, and Liv Tyler was. Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett were brothers, weren't they?
Just friends. They were lifelong friends.
Okay, that's
If
what
I
it
were
was.
to watch a movie on Pearl Harbor, it'd be Tora Tora.
I was going to say Tora, Tora, Tora. Another great epic from...
Liv Tyler was not in that movie.
Maggie is saying that it was only Kate Beckinsale, that Liv Tyler was not in. Hey, that's reason to celebrate. So everyone thinking that Liv Tyler was in it is right. You put it on the nuke list.
She was in Armageddon.
She was in Armageddon, but that's not a war. Look, we're
Oh,
gonna.
if
was just
Battleship
thinking that
is,
about
we can make Armageddon. Yeah, heck yeah.
Now we do have to spend time to talk about the one that's on the your picture here tonight, Mike, which is we were sold.
Oh, we're gonna get to Vietnam. We're absolutely going to get to Vietnam. One more from World War II, and this is another one where it won every award that it was pretty much nominated for, and you'll know it instantly by the theme song. Okay, everybody knows that that song is Colonel Bogey's March, and the movie or the film is Nobody.
Bridge over the River Kwai.
Bridge over the River Kwai for the win. Who won the Oscar? Best Actor.
Nivens.
Sir Alec Guinness.
Oh, Alex.
Obi-Wan Kenobi won the Oscar for Best Actor. It won all kind of awards. And then we go from the World War II genre. And look, we've only scratched the surface on the World War II genre. There are so many that we haven't even touched. And then you go to the Vietnam era. My problem with the Vietnam era is that the people that kind of tackled that movie tackled it from the point of view, and there was some truth to it, but it's not gospel truth, that when American soldiers came back from the Vietnam War, that they were peed on and spat upon and made fun of and mocked and all that. You know, I interviewed Charlie Daniels about that. And when I interviewed Charlie, Charlie and I talked about that. And Charlie made the signal point. He goes, you know, Mac, he goes, you know, the worst part about that war is not all the stuff that they said about that. The worst part about that war is really the first time the American people have to confront PTSD. That they have got hundreds of thousands of young men that came home with PTSD. And so I asked him, Charlie wrote that song. You know, if we have time before we get out of here, I'll play it. It's one of my favorite for emotional reasons, Still in Saigon. That song that he wrote. He goes, my daddy, my brother calls me a killer, or my daddy calls me a hero, and my brother calls me a killer. Kind of captures all that. But you get this kind of you're out of the revolution of the '60s. It's still a burning memory to many people. The ironic part is, apart from, I want to say that the only one of those filmmakers that ever actually participated in the Vietnam War was Oliver Stone. I don't think, none of the other ones, Kubrick, for sure Kubrick didn't. He was too busy faking moonshots, right, Mike Parrott? So he didn't have time to go to Vietnam. So the only, of all those, psychedelic, and they were all drugged out and they were doing this and that and the other, I just don't like the embarrassing portrait that they paint of American boys. Those boys did what they were told to do. I know one of them who got his arm blown off. My friend, who I haven't seen him in a year, and I've put myself on a spot. Erwin Merritt. He was in a helicopter. He was in a Huey, and he was off the battlefield, and they were taking off. And Charlie RPG into through the door into the helo, and it detonated, and they had to dive out from like 50 feet. They have to do it. He dove to the ground. You imagine falling 50 feet, and it blew his right arm off. And Irwin was not how any of these guys are portrayed. So it's all with a grain of salt to me. I don't like the way that American soldiers are all portrayed as heroin, whore-chasing addicts. Who look, they did what they were told, especially the ones that got drafted, and they almost all did. But you watch the one film that I think tries to get it right, and it's in my top 5 war movies of all time, and that's We Were Soldiers. And that story about Major Bruce Crandall is probably one of the great American unsung hero stories. He didn't want, he kept refusing. He wouldn't take that medal. I think Bush is the one that finally pinned it on him after 30 some odd years, and he finally accepted it. But We Were Soldiers, to me, if I got to pick a film about the Vietnam era, that's the one I'm going to watch.
Yeah,
That is the one.
That's number one on my list.
Yeah, that is the one to watch right there, Mike. Because you hit the nail on the head. Those men that came back were broken men trying to deal with an absolute insane place where they came from. And they came back broken. Nobody was set up to take care of them. We Were Soldiers was a very well written story about what the men did in combat and how they leaned on each other and how they needed good leadership. Sergeant Major in the movie is the best. Sam Elliott, I mean, he's the best. But I've read a couple books about him too. He's another guy that I would love to meet. Like you said, he refused that medal so many times. He didn't care about it. He cared about his men and what he lost, and that's what makes him a true warrior, right there.
And he was a great leader because
Fantastic
he led. I'll be first off, and I'll be last on.
So they tried to argue that point. A bunch of these left-wing lunatics that was just a made-up Hollywood thing they did to make the movie, and they literally said some nasty things. And I remember him. He was a man of very few interviews and not a whole lot of words, but he spoke and said, and he was in tears when he said it, that is absolutely the truth. And he said, I don't do anything to make myself look like a hero, but that's honestly how I conducted myself on the battlefield. And
that's why I loved Major Winters from World War II, because he was a leader. He wasn't telling his guys to do something he wouldn't do. In those movies, when he says, follow me, he was out front. They were following him. And if you're going to have a combat leader, it's going to be a Hal Moore or it's going to be a Major Winters.
Yeah, they're both two of my favorite leaders of all times.
And the other part about that, Joe and Jeff, and it looks like Mitter Monday has been successfully joined us, is they kept Mel Gibson, Crandall's, the character that Mel Gibson plays, Crandall, keeps saying, no man left behind. No man left behind. Like that's the Marine creed. No man. Look, when they go back, and he goes, I'll go back. I'll go get him. No man left behind. It's great to have an accurate portrayal of the United States Marine Corps and of someone that was like, no, we're not leaving anyone behind. So you want to take off? Go ahead. I'm going to go back and get him.
He's not a Marine. He's a soldier.
A soldier. Okay.
Major Crandall, I love in that because when those medic helicopters wouldn't come in, when he got back and that guy's in his face telling him, and he's like shaking and he pulls his pistol out, I could see Crandall doing that, no doubt.
Do you know how I discover We Were Soldiers? I went down to the Best Buy when they used to actually were open and sold movies and stuff on DVD on the morning of Memorial Day in like a 2008 or something like that. And I walked in and there was a guy that greets me and he goes, hey, sir, how you doing? And I said, I'm well. I said, blessed Memorial Day to you, because he had a Vietnam pin on. He goes, well, thank you very much. He goes, can I help you? What are you looking for? I said, I'm actually looking, I think I want to watch Memorial Day. I want to watch a war movie that I haven't seen. And he goes, are you okay with Vietnam? And I said, yeah. And he goes, got just the film for you. And he walked me over and he handed me We Were Soldiers. And he goes, this is the only one. He goes, and I'm a vet. This is the only one that I will watch and endorse. And he and I, his name was Terry, and Terry and I kind of became friends. That's that's how I discovered we were soldiers.
Those men, let me tell you about their leadership. All those guys that survived that and came back and stayed in. I mean, I got trained by the tail end of those men, and they taught us what it meant to be a soldier and what it meant to be in a team and how to lead men. It's part of the problem why we're at in the military where we're at, because these men don't exist in our military.
Yeah, it's hard to find. Minter Monday, I hear the crickets chirping in the dark in the background there. We got to your Patton film, but we're excited to hear what you have to say, sir.
No, I'm sorry I failed everybody here, but well, my technology isn't as good as your guys because I won't spend money on it because I'm a cheap bastard.
I think I think that gives you a victory, actually.
Well. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. No, we got to Patton. Patton is my favorite just because it is one of the more, even though it's not chronologically accurate. I mean, pretty much everybody said there isn't a darn thing in that movie that was said that he didn't say. Nobody realized he actually slapped 3 soldiers instead of 1, but that would have been melodramatic. But I guess when it comes to something like that, it's just like those are the kind of movies that make me want to go and research more of history, as opposed to like I heard you a little bit. I was in and out. I heard you talking about Pearl Harbor. Well, you don't need as much as I actually like Cuban Gooding Jr. You don't need the woke moment where he consoles the captain when he dies and he grabs a machine gun and shoots down zeros. I mean, yeah, we all cheer, we all get great feelings about it, but that's the kind of stuff that. It's feel good America, rah rah, America. History is we don't care about the history, but that's. I mean, that's all. Like I didn't hear most of what you had to say, so I don't want to interrupt.
All right, well, we have 5 minutes left, and Joe Beeman, you're the only one that is sitting here, I believe. Now, Jeff Johnson, you served New York State Correction Institute, but you didn't serve in Iraq, did you? Okay, so Joe Beeman is the only one here, I believe, that actually served. Joe, is there any film that actually treated the soldiers with respect and got it right in Iraq? Everyone's going to say, the Hurt Locker. I don't know that the Hurt Locker, upon further review, that any of these guys, the only one that might even kind of register, and I hate to say it because I can't stand the actors, is the Three Kings. And it's only because it's almost like Kelly's Heroes. They're not really there to fight the war. It's all about them stealing Saddam's gold, right? But is there any other film that actually gets Iraq correct?
There's one called not Iraq. This is the Afghanistan one. It's called the Horsemen or something of the Horsemen. I can't remember. 13 Horsemen. That was actually how the war began. That was the first American boots on the ground. That was the special forces team. That's what they did. They literally embed themselves. There was 13 men, and they embedded and got a hold.
This is the one with Thor.
Well, yeah.
Chris Hemsworth
exactly.
was in that.
That's to be honest with you, I've read a lot of really good books from my generation from that war, because I like to get everybody else's perspective other than my own to see if it's just me that has the feelings I have about it. But there's some good books written, but movie-wise, that's probably the best. All the rest of them are just too much Hollywood garbage, in which it doesn't even get close. I would love to have a We Were Soldiers type of movie that would...
What about Lone Survivor?
No, bullshit. Sorry.
No, you could say that. That's fine. Jeff Schaefer, I want Schaefer under this. Schaefer, you didn't mention 41, was it? Is it 14 hours, 41 hours, the one about Libya?
Oh.
About the attempt to rescue Ambassador Andrew Stevens that Hillary set up. That movie, now that's accurate, and that shows Navy SEALs, special ops dudes. Schaefer, did you see that one?
No, I didn't get a clips of that one. Not yet. No, it's modern, but no.
Great movie.
Great movie. Actually met. So there were CIA agents. They was no longer team members. They were all Delta Force or Special Ops or SEAL guys, but they all worked for the CIA. But I actually met one of the guys that survived out of it. I forget his name in the movie. I actually met him, read his book, and talked to him offline. And he was the first guy that it was just one-on-one and sat down and said, young man, you're having some issues. You need to go get some help. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you need to go talk to somebody.
It was
And-
13. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was 13 hours.
13 hours.
13 hours. The secret soldiers of Benghazi.
He actually told me that there's so much that history-wise that he wishes he could talk about, but they made sure that they made it so that they could, nobody that was there could talk about it, and how much of a total setup that was.
There's just a couple that I want to squeeze in, and we will revisit this again. We don't ever exhaust any topic because these are short shows. So somebody said Hacksaw Ridge. What was the other Clint Eastwood one that he made with Andrew, the Spider-Man, Andrew Ferguson?
Heartbreak Ridge?
No. Maybe it was Hacksaw Ridge. No, it was Hacksaw Ridge.
Right.
Okay, so you had
He was in the Hacksaw Ridge. Yeah.
You had Hacksaw Ridge. You had, of course, everyone's going to say, what about the Deer Hunter? I never really thought the Deer Hunter was. It's another one of those are all weird. You know, Christopher Walken blows his brains out in the end. But here's one that I know that Maggie and I love to watch whenever it comes on, and we'll sit there and go, okay, it's on. We're going to watch it. My name is Lieutenant Aldo Raines. I am here to collect Nazi scalps. You are now under my command. You will bring me my Nazi scalp. I just love Brad Pitt's character. You like it too, huh? Resnick, you like it?
That's a good movie.
That's an awesome movie. That's a good one.
I don't know if I put it in the war movies, though. I don't know.
Well, fellas, I think we got to go. So, arrivederci.
Hey, Mayor Chair, I got to ask a couple questions. Real quick. Maybe you already covered it.
Yes.
Silly things. Is Catch-22 a war movie?
Refresh my memory. Catch-22. Catch-22.
Major, I don't know.
Catch-22 was where you know they were Air Force bombers, and he was there was another one of those psychological struggles when Snowden died, and it's more of a psychological movie.
If you're insane, you don't say you're insane. But if you say you're insane, you're not insane. You can't get out of the war.
Right.
That's the catch.
Okay. All right. I got another one. Is Starship Troopers a movie?
No.
Oh, come on.
Throw down.
All right.
Throw down.
I'm not arguing. I'm just asking.
Aliens, but it's actually
All right.
I don't know.
Is Lord of the Rings a movie?
No.
All right, Monday, I'm coming over and taking all your bourbon.
All right.
from you.
One more. Is Stripes a war movie?
Oh, come on.
No, we're not homosexuals, but we are willing to learn.
All I got to say is present company accepted. I hear people say, well, leave the weapons a Christmas movie. So that's why I'm just, making fun of those people. Sorry, that's all I got to say.
That's Die Hard. Die Hard is a Christmas.
Die Hard too.
Oh,
Oh,
Lord.
yeah, okay.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, right. Okay, but that is so is Starship Troopers. Okay.
Okay, one final
Sorry,
one,
okay,
and
guys.
then we're gonna have to wrap it up. We have plenty of fertile stuff material to get to next time.
Lot missed.
Now, I don't know what war this actually fits in. I guess it's the Cold War, but certainly one of the best dramas, and it's a Tom Clancy book, so it is a fiction, and it may have happened, it may not have happened, is The Hunt for Red October.
Fantastic movie.
Fantastic movie, but I don't
Great
know if it's a
movie.
war
Oh, yeah.
movie.
Yeah, that's a great one. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, but
Well,
I'm not
Crimson
going to say it's
Tide.
a war movie. I mean, it's like, I guess there was a torpedo once.
Well,
It was
You
the
gotta
Cold. It was the
separate
Cold
some of this.
War.
But it's the Cold War, so I mean, what are you gonna?
some of this.
There's gonna be.
You got to break some of this. You got to break some of this down, guys. I mean, it gets very. Yeah, we need about 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 more episodes of this to really break some of these down.
Anybody ever see War Horse?
Yeah.
I have. Good
Yep.
one movie.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's a real story. That's a true story.
That is a true story.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
KingDude,
Yes.
KingDude, we got through a whole episode on war movies, and John Wayne did not come out of my mouth once. Well,
But Green Berets, as great a movie as it was not a highly rated war movie for accuracy of any
Well,
kind.
first of all, anybody that's ever been a soldier watching a Green Beret walk around with his chin strap dangling around, Oh my God, it's nails on a chalkboard to any soldier.
David Kernall
Yeah,
was not a fan of the Green Beret movie. He was an
you're
actual Marine.
You're prejudiced, Joe. You're prejudiced.
I may be. I hate
You're right.
bullshit.
You're right. I'm not saying you're not right, but you're still prejudiced.
Yeah, been called worse.
Nobody mentioned MASH. There were no Korean War movies. And of course, MASH is it's a war movie. If you look at the top 100 of all time, and I've been scrolling through it as we've been talking, some of the ones they have in there, and I go like, no, I'm not even going to bring that up. However, before we leave, my final throwdown, and this is my final word, I'm going to add the wildest of all wild cards. You are free to disagree, but I forthwith and herewith proclaim that the original Red Dawn is a war movie.
Oh, I meant to bring that up. I was going to ask if that was a war movie. I'll second that.
You'll second that. There we go.
I will second
I'm
it.
all on board. That's a war movie.
I'll give you
I
that.
take it
I'll
back.
give you that one. Cold War, I guess, would count. There's a lot of spy movies that would fall into that.
They were
The only
shooting
thing
at each other. That's a war movie.
shooting
Come
you.
on.
All right. The only thing I want to say, gentlemen, is my dear stepfather, God rest his soul. I don't even remember what we were watching. We were watching a war movie many years ago. He's reading a book while we're watching something on TV, and he just looked up and said, "Bullets don't sound like that." And he went back to his reading. So Joe would probably be better to, we love to watch these things and we love them, but he said, nope, bullets don't sound like that.
Bullets don't
They
sound
don't.
like that.
They snap and they go fast.
Yep.
All right. Hey, this is a great topic. Obviously, we can go back to Westerns. We could get more specific. We could go back to war movies. We could just do one genre at a time. Now that we kind of did the overview. A great show. Schaefer 13, good to have you with us. You're going to have to brush up on the war movies, though, bro. You can't just come in with one. You got to come in with three.
Mike, I had plenty more. Nobody mentioned Black Hawk Down. Fantastic.
Oh,
movie.
well, dude, you just did.
Not a single mention. I'm disappointed in you guys.
Well, you know
Yeah,
what?
Black Hawk-
It's because that
Black Hawk-
communist traitor Ridley Scott is the one that made it. That's why.
Here's my 2 cents real quick. Here's my problem. Great story, but the whole thing was food bar. The movie was well done, but the mission was terrible. Those Rangers ought to be ashamed of themselves, and the Delta Force guys had to come in and bail their butts out.
And then there was a whole chain of command with Clinton, and that it never should have happened. And then one of the guys that's portrayed in the movie, doesn't he? He ultimately goes to jail as a pederast, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah, but Schaefer, okay. Black Hawk Down, great cinematography. They made you believe you were in Mogadishu. Great action, and there were, some of that story, the heroic parts are actually true. All right, so that's 2. Where's your third?
My only other is 300. The actual story of the Battle of Thermopylae is fantastic. I was forced to do a research paper in college about it. Had no idea about it. I did a research paper, and maybe a year later, the movie came out, and the movie kind of bastardized it a bit, but absolutely fantastic war, if nothing else.
It has
I
one of.
second that.
Okay, I'll second it too because I love the film. And I love Gerard Butler in it, and one of my favorite movie lines of all time is "Send us your weapons, come and get them." Yes, that's the old Texas thing, with the cannon, like "come and take it" or whatever. When he says "come and get them," it's the story of Thermopylae. I said the other day to someone, we were talking about Catholics versus Greeks or whatever, Eastern Rite versus the Latin Rite, and I said, well, I can tell you what the Eastern Rite needs, and he goes, what's that? And I just totally broadsided him right upside the head. I said, Spartans, and he looked at me and went like, good shot. Hey, a great episode of Thursday Night Throwdown War Movies. Guys, Jeff Johnson, thank you. Scott Resnick, thank you. Joe Beeman, thank you. Jeff Schaefer, Schaefer 13, thank you. Mr. Monday, the old farmer. We will mine this
sorry I failed you guys.
See, now I'm going to have to go Lieutenant Aldo Raines on you. There will be no failure in my unit. You are still there to get my Nazi scalps there, soldier, and you will do so. Now, tell us goodbye.
I didn't give up, Mike. I kept on trying, but
and that's
I tell you, you love history like I do. You know what we got to do? We got to look at some of these war movies. We got to look at some of these things and say, what would have happened if they had done it right? 'Cause
Interesting.
there's a lot of the world would not have been this. No, had they had let, and not just Patton, had they had let the armies go and meet the Russians instead of stopping, where would we be today? That would
Dude,
be a
they're-
great conversation.
Great conversation, and there are so many films that we didn't even touch on. I'm not going to mention them now because I got to wrap up. Good night to all. Good day to all of you. This is episode number 5 of Thursday Night